Hello students, in the last class we completed the algebraic structures. With that our unit 2 completed. Now we start unit 3, which is combinatorics and number theory. The first half combinatorics will be explained by another faculty, right? Now we will start the number theory. In this topic we discuss about the set of integers. All the topics are related to only set of integers, right? Here we discuss about properties of integers, and then next concept is division algorithm, greatest common divisor, that is GCD, and the least common multiple, LCM, fundamental theorem of arithmetic, and then next one is Euler's theorem and Fermat's theorem, right? Also we test whether the given set of numbers are prime numbers or not. To test that one, we discuss one algorithm, right? So this number theory is related to set of integers. Set of integers are denoted by letter Z. What are the elements of set Z? -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. These are the elements of set of integers, right? So first we discuss about properties of integers. It is a completely theory part, like our algebraic structures. Already we completed the algebraic structures topic, right? So in algebraic structures, we depend only on binary operation. There also we discuss the properties of binary operations. Those are closure, associative, identity, inverse, then commutative. Next one is distributive, and also cancellation laws. Here also we have same properties of integers, right? So unless and until you know clearly the definition, we can't solve, otherwise we can't prove the theorems or results. So definition is very important. So you need to understand definition very clearly, right? The first property is closure property. So these are properties of integers, right? So for any a comma b belongs to set Z, a plus b, that means sum of two integers is an integer, and multiplication of two integers is also an integer, right? So we can say that addition of integers and multiplication of integers both are satisfying closure property, right? Second property, associative property. Second one is associative property. What is associative property? Here the set is, for any ABC belongs to set Z. So if we consider the operation as plus, a plus b plus c equal to a plus b plus c. If we take any three integers and add like this using this order, the associative law satisfies. The another one is a into b into c equal to a into b into c. So if we consider any set of integers, both the addition and multiplication satisfies associative law for set of integers. Third one is identity. Third one is identity. This is the third property. For any a belongs to Z, set of integers, what is identity law? If we apply any element to that identity element, the element A carries as it is, we call it as identity element, right? So A plus 0 equal to 0 plus A equal to A. That means A carries itself using the operation addition and applying 0 to that. And similarly, A into 1 equal to 1 into A equal to A, right? So here zero is called additive identity. If we apply 1 on A using the multiplication, A carries as it is. So 1 is called multiplicative identity, right? So 0 is called additive identity and 1 is called multiplicative identity. So identity elements with respect to addition and multiplication exist in the set of integers, right? Fourth one is inverse. For any A belongs to set of integers, there exists minus A also belongs to Z. If we observe here, if 2 is an integer, minus 2 is also an integer, such that A plus minus A equal to minus A plus A is equal to 0. So which is same as our existence of inverse property in group. Right? So if we add A to minus A, we will get the additive identity. Therefore, minus A is an additive inverse of A, right? So if we observe the multiplicative identity, so multiplicative identity, what is multiplicative identity? 1, right? So multiplicative inverse does not exist in set of integers. Why multiplicative inverse does not exist means, if we multiply A by 1 by A, we will get 1. This 1 is multiplicative identity of Z, right? But here 1 by A does not belongs to set of integers. See here. Suppose if we consider 3 is an integer, 3 belongs to set Z. But 1 by 3 does not belongs to the set of integers, therefore multiplicative inverse does not exist. Whereas the additive inverse exists, which is minus A. The next property is fifth one, commutative. What is the fifth property? Commutative. For any A comma B belongs to set Z, A plus B is equal to B plus A. This is the commutative property with respect to multiplication, because here we are applying in these two elements in between plus addition symbol. So commutative property with respect to addition. And similarly, commutative property for multiplication also satisfies. The sixth one is distributive. You know that whenever we apply the distributive property, we need two different operations and three elements. For any ABC belongs to set Z, A into B plus C is equal to A into B plus A into C. The other one is A plus B into C is equal to A into C plus B into C. And the next property is seventh one, cancellation loss. For any A, B, C belongs to Z, right? So whenever A into B is equal to A into C, we will get B is equal to C. Because the left side element A gets cancelled, we call it as a left cancellation law, right? The other cancellation law is A into C is equal to B into C. On both sides here, the element C is same, which is on RHS side. By getting cancel this one, we will get A is equal to B. We call it as right cancellation law. These are the 7 different properties the set of integers satisfy, right? So next we will see the definition of divisibility. Right, next see the definition of divisibility. Let A and B be two integers with A not equal to 0. That means A is a non-zero integer. If there exists an integer x not equal to 0 such that B is equal to AX, then A is said to divide B, otherwise B is divisible by A. It is denoted by A divides B. Here A is called factor of B or divisor of B, or B is a multiple of A. If we see example, all of you know 99 is divisible by 11. The same thing, 99 is divisible by 11, which is denoted by, in other words, 11 divides 99, right? 11 divides 99. It is denoted by how can we represent this one? 11 divides 99. Whenever we use the representation divides, the denominator value is greater than the numerator value. You have to remember that the denominator value must be greater than the numerator value, right? If A is said to divide B or B is divisible by A, which is denoted by A divides B. The meaning of this, when we say that A divides B, if there exists an integer, non-zero integer, x must be not equal to 0 such that B is equal to AX. Right? If we observe here, we are saying that 11 divides 99. In the place of A, 11 is there. In the place of B, 99 is there. We can write it as 99 is equal to 11 into 9. B is equal to A into X, where X is non-zero, right? So always the denominator value is less than the numerator value, that is the one hint. Also here A is called factor of B, otherwise A is called divisor of B, and B is called multiple of A, right? Once we see the note, For any integer b not equal to 0, b can be written as b is equal to b into 1, right? B can be written as b into 1. So we can say that any number divides the same number, b divides b, and 1 divides b. B divides b and 1 divides b. The meaning of this is any number divides itself and also 1 divides any number, right? So we can write here any number divides itself and 1 divides any non-zero number. This is a very important thing. It must be a non-zero number. B must be not equal to 0. So b divides b and 1 divides b, right? This is the conclusion about the divisibility, right? So you need to note down divisibility and then example, and you need to write a note. In that note, you can mark it as any number divides itself and 1 divides any non-zero number. And also the next point is, if A divides B, then minus A also divides B. So whenever A divides B, see this explanation, whenever A divides B, we can write B is equal to AX. B is equal to AX. What is this X? X is just an integer, right? X belongs to Z. If we multiply on both sides by minus, minus B is equal to minus AX. So B is equal to, minus A also divides B. B is equal to minus A into minus X. Implies we can say that B divides, otherwise here what we write, A divides B, then we can write it as minus A divides B. Why? Because what is the condition here? Because X is an integer, minus X is also an integer, right? So what is the conclusion? Whenever A divides B, then minus A also divides B. Minus A also divides minus B. Otherwise, minus B also divides minus A, right? This is the about definition of divisibility, and you need to write these 2 points, right? Whenever we prove some of the results, we use these notes. Any number divides itself, and the second one is always 1 divides this any number, right? And right, already we saw the definition of divisibility. To say that A divides B, there exists a non-zero integer X such that B is equal to AX. Using that definition, we have to prove this result. See the first one, like ABC are integers, right? So belongs to Z means ABC are integers. Then what is the first one? If A divides B and B not equal to 0, then modulus of A less than or equal to modulus of B. Already I said clearly, whenever we write A divides B, denominator value must be greater than the numerator value. Otherwise, in other words, we can say that numerator value is less than denominator value. Now we will see the proof of this one. Right? Before going to the proof, you need to remember this definition. If A divides B, just I will write here because it is not visible. if A divides B, whenever to say that A divides B, then the denominator B is equal to, B must be equal to AX, where X belongs to Z, set of integers, and X not equal to 0. You need to remember this definition, then only we can solve all those 8, right? First one. If then means we need to assume this one and we need to prove mod A less than or equal to mod B. First one, let A divides B implies there exists non-zero integer. So 0 not equal to X, which is an integer, so belongs to Z, such that, what is the definition? B is equal to AX, right? If we say B is equal to AX, from the definition of divisibility, we say that B is multiple of A, right? B is multiple of A. So, if we multiply A X times, we will get B. X times means implies X must be greater than or equal to 1. Its modulus value greater than or equal to 1 because B is a multiple of A, right? Now, consider mod B, because B is equal to AX, mod B is equal to mod AX. Mod AX is mod A into mod X. Here we get modulus of X is greater than or equal to 1. So, greater than or equal to mod A into 1 implies mod B greater than or equal to mod A. So, we get otherwise the same thing, we can write it as mod A less than or equal to mod B. The first one completed. Now coming to the second one. What is the second one assumption? A divides B and B divides C. This is the assumption part. We need to prove that A divides C. So let A divides B and B divides C, right? So implies there exists X belongs to Z such that using the first one we can write B is equal to AX. Again here given B divides C, to use this one, and there exists Y which is a non-zero integer such that denominator C is equal to numerator B into Y, right? So, what we have to prove here? A divides C. That is, it is enough to prove that C is equal to, otherwise C is a multiple of A. So, consider C. C is equal to, already we have BY, which is equal to, we have B is equal to AX. So, AX into Y, right? All these X comma Y are integers and also A, B, C are integers. Just now we discussed about the properties of integers. Set of integers satisfy the associative law. So, we can write it as A into XY, right? Comma, what about XY? X is an integer, Y is an integer. Product of two integers is again an integer using the closure property. So, XY belongs to Z. Now, C is a multiple of A implies we can write it as A divides C, right? So, we get A divides C. Now, we see the third one. What is the third one? If A divides B and A divides C, then A divides B plus C and A divides B minus C. So, first assume that A divides B and A divides C. Let A divides B and A divides C, right? So, using the definition, there exists X not equal to 0, non-zero integer, integer means belongs to z, such that b is equal to ax, and to use this a divides c, there exists non-zero integer y such that c is equal to ay. Right? So here we need to prove that a divides b plus c, means b plus c must be a multiple of a. So that consider b plus c. So adding b and c, b value is ax, c value is ay, which can be written as, by taking common a into x plus y. What about x and y? These two are non-zero integers. So that addition of two integers, otherwise sum of two integers, is also an integer. So x plus y is an integer, implies. Now this b plus c is a multiple of a, therefore a divides b plus c. Right? So third one, first part is completed. What about the next part? A divides b minus c. For that, consider b minus c. What about b minus c? Which is equal to, what is b? Ax minus ay, which is equal to a into x minus y. So again here b minus c is a multiple of a, implies we can say that a divides b minus c. Third one, second part also completed. Now we will see the remaining 5 parts. Now we start the fourth one. Fourth one is, if a divides b, then for any integer m, a divides bm. So let a divides b. By the definition, b is equal to ax. So there exists non-zero integer x such that b is equal to ax. Now we need to prove that a divides bm. That is, bm is a multiple of a. Multiplying m on both sides, where m is non-zero integer. So mb is equal to a into mx. Here mb is a multiple of a. We can write it as bm is equal to a into mx, where m is a non-zero integer and x is a non-zero integer. So mx is also an integer, implies a divides bm. Next, if a divides b and a divides c, then for any integer m and n, a divides bm plus cn. Let a divides b and a divides c, implies there exist non-zero integers x belongs to z such that b is equal to xa or ax, and using this second one, a divides c, we can write there exists a non-zero integer y such that c is equal to a into y. Now we need to prove that a divides bm plus cn. So consider bm plus cn, which is equal to, what is b value? B is xa or ax into m plus c is ay into n. Now taking common a, which is xm plus yn. Now bm plus cn is a multiple of a into some value which is an integer, because x, m, y and n all are integers. So that a divides bm plus cn. Right? Sixth one, What is the sixth one assumption? If A divides B and B divides A, then we need to prove that A is equal to plus or minus B. Let A divides B and B divides A. So by the definition, there exists a non-zero integer x belongs to Z such that B is equal to AX. And using this B divides A, there exists a non-zero integer y such that A is equal to B into y. Now, if you observe these two, we need to prove that A is equal to by, so that consider in the sixth one, we need to prove that A is equal to plus or minus y, B. So consider A. What is the A value here? A equal to by. What is B from this one? AX. So B is AX into y. So implies A is equal to A into xy. When these two are equal, either x is equal to y is equal to 1 or x is equal to y is equal to minus 1. Means this product must be equal to 1. These two are equal if xy is equal to 1. When xy is equal to 1, either x equal to y equal to 1 or x equal to y equal to minus 1. If x equal to y is equal to 1, right, we get A is equal to B. If x is equal to y is equal to minus 1, from this statement we get A is equal to minus B. So in either of the case, we get A is equal to plus or minus B, right? So this is the proof of fourth one, fifth one and sixth one. Two more are pending. We will see. Right, next we see the next one, which is seventh one. What is the seventh one? If A divides B and A divides B plus C, then A divides C. So let us take it as A divides B. Let A divides B and A divides B plus C. Right? From these two, since A divides B, there exists a non-zero integer x such that B is equal to AX. And since A divides B plus C, there exists a non-zero integer y such that B plus C is equal to A into y. Now we need to prove that A divides C means that C is a multiple of A. So consider C. C can be written as B plus C minus B. B plus C value from this is AY minus B value from this is AX, which can be written as A into Y minus X. Right? So C is a multiple of A since Y minus X is a non-zero integer because both Y and X are integers. Y minus X is also a integer. Implies C is a multiple of A, therefore A divides C. Now the last one. So if A divides B and M not equal to 0, then MA divides MB. So let us assume that A divides B and M not equal to 0. Since A divides B, there exists a non-zero integer x such that by using the definition of A divides B, we get B is equal to AX. Implies multiplying on both sides by M, because M is a non-zero integer, which can be written as MB is equal to MA into X, where X is a non-zero integer. MB is a multiple of MA, so that MA divides MB. With this, all the 8 parts of this result are completed. Next, we will see the division algorithm. 2 minutes. Right? Previously, we discussed about the definition of divisibility. Right? Now, we see the theorem of division theorem or division algorithm. What about this division theorem or division algorithm? So, let us take A is equal to 21, B is equal to 5. Now, see here, let A and B be any two integers and B is a positive integer, means B greater than 0. There exist unique integers Q and R such that A can be expressed as BQ plus R, where R value lies in between 0 and B, right? Otherwise, R is equal to 0, right? So, if we consider any two integers A and B must be greater than 0, B is a positive integer, then A can be expressed uniquely as A is equal to BQ plus R, where B value is either equal to 0 or lies in between, right? R value is lies in between 0 and B. If A does not divide B, then R satisfies the stronger inequality 0 less than R less than B. Now see here, if A is equal to 21 and B is equal to 5, right? Here B value is greater than 0. If we divide 21 by 5, we get 4 times 5 fours are 20, we get 1, right? Here A is equal to 21, which can be expressed as 4 into 5, that means B into Q plus R, where Q is nothing but quotient of this division. What is the quotient here? Quotient is 4, right? So, what is the remainder R? R value remainder is 1. Clearly, this R value is lies in between 0 and 5. Why this value is lies in between 0 and 5? What is A value? 21, B value is 5. Because 5 does not divides 21. Whenever A does not divides B, then R follows the stronger inequality or strict inequality, which value lies in between 0 and B, right? So we need to prove that here we have only two integers A and B value is a positive integer. First of all, we need to find out two integers Q and R such that A can be expressed as BQ plus R. See here, consider the infinite sequence of multiples of B. What is B? B is an integer. Suppose if we take here 5. What are the multiples of 5? 0, 5, 10, 15, 20 and so on in the positive side. In the negative side, minus 5, minus 10, minus 15, minus 20 and so on, right? Here if we consider multiples of 5, like that we are getting. What is A value here? 21. This 21 value is lies in between two consecutive multiples of B. 21 lies in between 20 and 25. Those are multiples of B, right? So consider the infinite sequence of multiples of B, namely 0B, 2B and so on the positive side, and the negative side minus B, minus 2B, minus 3B and so on. Right here, what are the multiples of 5? Minus 10, minus 5, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and so on. If we observe here clearly, this 21 value lies in between 20 and 25. So that is the thing here also. They expressed A in terms of B, or A value must be lies in between two consecutive multiples of B. So now either A is equal to one of multiple of B, say QB in the sequence, or it lies in between two consecutive multiples, say QB and Q plus 1 into B. When this A value is equal to QB means if A is a perfect multiple of B, here 21 is not a multiple of 5, therefore 21 lies in between 20 and 25. If it is a perfect multiple, its value is equal to QB. If it is not a perfect multiple, then A must be lies in between two consecutive multiples of B. Those are taken as QB and Q plus 1 into B. So if it is a multiple of B, we write it as QB. If it lies in between two consecutive multiples of B, we take it as A value must be lies in between QB and Q plus 1 into B. By combining these two, so either A is equal to QB, so here we put less than or equal to. Throughout the inequality, subtracting QB from the three terms, first term becomes 0, second term A minus QB, third term QB gets cancelled, we get B. So now let us take it as R is equal to A minus QB. Now A minus QB, put here R, it becomes 0 less than or equal to R less than or equal to B. Sorry, it is only strict inequality, right? QB value is less than A, less than Q plus 1 into B. So by combining these two, it becomes less than or equal to, write this as it is. So only we get less than. Now let R is equal to A minus QB. Then if we take this value as R, it becomes 0 less than or equal to R less than B, right? So from this equation, it becomes A is equal to QB plus R. So here we are getting two integers Q and R such that R value is lies in between 0 and B, and which satisfies the equation A is equal to QB plus R. This proves the existence of Q and R. Here also in the statement mention that uniqueness, right? So to prove uniqueness of Q and R, so we have to assume that two such type of integers exist, and finally we need to prove that both are equal. So let us assume that A can be expressed in the given form in two ways. So let A is equal to Q1B plus R1, where R1 value is in between 0 and B, and A is equal to Q2B plus R2. This is the second way of expressing A. 0 less than or equal to R2 less than B. For some Q1 R1, Q2 R2 belongs to Z. From these two equations, LHS are same, So equate RHS. Take this plus R to LHS, it becomes R1 minus R2. Take this Q1B other side, it becomes minus Q1B. So taking common B, right? If you see here, R1 minus R2 is a multiple of B, right? R1 minus R2 is a multiple of B. So already now we discussed the definition of divisibility whenever B is equal to AX, right? So B is a multiple of A, then we say that A divides B. So here R1 minus R2 is a multiple of B, implies B divides R1 minus R2. B divides R1 minus R2. Means that we write like this, B divides R1 minus R2. Already I said that while explaining the divisibility, always in the divides, this RHS term is always greater than the LHS term B. What is the meaning of that? R1 minus R2 is greater than B. When it is possible, R1 must be greater than B and R2 must be greater than B. If you see here, R1 less than B and R2 less than B means that we are getting contradiction. So which is a contradiction since both R1 and R2 are positive and less than B. But here we are getting B divides R1 minus R2 means that B value must be less than R1 minus R2. But here B value is greater than R1, B value is greater than R2. So that because we are getting a contradiction, why we are getting contradiction? Because we are assuming two such possibilities are existing, therefore hence R1 equal to R2 and Q1 equal to Q2, therefore Q and R are unique. This proves the uniqueness. If you see the example, if we consider A is equal to 21, B is equal to 5, right? Divide 21 by 5, otherwise 5 divides 21. So our quotient Q is equal to 4 and remainder is 1. Always this remainder value 1 is either equal to 0 or this value is in between 0 and 5, right? This is the proof of division algorithm or division theorem. It is important theorem.